Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Keys, and I am making this video for the Ohio Music Educators Association 2022 conference. I was really looking forward to being with you all in person and being around uh, people and having contact with uh, people again, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Um, Hopefully I'll have the pleasure to be back at OMEA at some point in the future. And I would love to tell you that it's because of the weather, that the snow and the ice that's come through is what's keeping me out. And even though that is a little bit of it, the main reason that I'm not able to be with you this year at the conference is because of COVID. Um, my family, we are on lockdown um, because of COVID. And so hopefully one of these days we'll be back to where I can get back up there uh, and be with you all again. It is a wonderful conference, and I've enjoyed it the couple of times that I've been able to attend. So I'm looking forward to getting back with you. But this is New Wine in Old Bottles, Educational Technology in the Performance-Based Classroom. You can download a copy of this presentation at this URL, bit.ly/keysnewwine21. Yes, this says 21, but that's okay. And when you go to that link, just make a copy and you have your own. If you're one of those wonderful people that love QR codes, like me, you can scan this QR code and it will do the same thing. It'll take you to this presentation. And I recommend that you go ahead and make a copy of this for yourself. There are some links embedded in the presentation, and it'll just save you a little bit of time when it comes to looking at some of the apps and programs and things that I'm going to try to show you today. Plus, in the future, if any changes are made to this presentation, things are added to it, things are moved around, you will get those as well. And so go ahead and make a copy of that. Once again, there's the QR code, there's the URL. Now, your first freebie of this session, QR codes. Any Google document can be turned into a QR code. If you come up here to the address bar for your document and you come over to the little icon, you can turn that into a QR code. QR codes, I have friends who use QR codes for things like attendance. Your students may leave the house without their horn and their music and their reeds and other things that they need to be successful in your class, but they will not leave their house without their cell phone. And they will make sure to have that cell phone. And so by having the QR code up, they can scan it and they can have access to materials that you've done that day. Like I say, friends of mine have created QR codes that will link to Google Forms, and they use it for attendance. And I know, like at the beginning of marching band rehearsals, when everybody's getting organized and getting the equipment out and getting things set up, the students can come in and scan the QR code. And with the time and date stamp that's involved with Google Forms, you have an accurate recording of the attendance for that. And that'll save you a little bit of time as you go through there. But once again, in any Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Web, anything in the Google, if you come over and hit the QR code, the little icon over here, and you can make a QR code of all of that. So that's going to be your first freebie of the day. But this QR code is for this presentation. So please, please, please download and share. If you've got friends who you think might benefit from some of the things in here, share this video with them, share this document with them. Do so freely. That's one of the great things that has made my heart warm when it comes to this pandemic, and there's not much that has. But it's everybody in the music world has been really great at sharing resources and other tools from other teachers to music companies, sharing things and making things available because they know that these times can be trying, and anything we can do to help other educators, please do. And so please feel free to share that. A little bit about me. I am a band director. I taught 23 years in the public schools, grades 5 through 12. I have recently retired. Um, I have a bachelor's degree from UK in Lexington, master's from George Mason. I'm a Google certified educator, 1 and 2, and a Google certified trainer. Out of all those things there, what I'm more proud of than anything are the first two. And I want to emphasize those because I'm one of you. I've been in the trenches with you. I've gone through the same successes and heartaches and heartbreaks that you have gone through. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this presentation, because if it's worked for me and has helped me over the years, it'll help you. If my kids can pull some of these things off, I know your students can as well. I'm not trying to sell you a product or promote my latest gadget. I am here to, as a band director, as a music educator, to just kind of talk to you about some things that have really helped me over the years. And I know, once again, that will work for you. That will work for you as well. And there's my logo, because everybody needs a logo. A return to normal. I went back and watched a previous video that I created for the Kentucky Music Educators last year's virtual conference. And in that, as I was watching that, one of the first things I said is, hey, we're about to get back to normal. The pandemic's almost over. We're going to be getting there. And boy, that didn't age well. As I watched that, I was just shaking my head. But at some point, we will be back to normal. And what I am really hoping to emphasize with all of this is, don't abandon the technology. Don't abandon some of the tools and some of the things that you've done virtually, just because we're back to being in person and back at it the way we should. Now, I know students did not join band, choir, or orchestra to play the Chromebook. They joined those classes to create music, either through singing or playing of an instrument. But we can still use some of the tools in ways to make our life as educators easier, and to inspire and motivate our students to continue to learn and grow musically. And that's the ultimate goal. When the pandemic started and we all kind of went virtual and things kind of shut down, it was about the what. I remember the date. It was March the 13th. And after every class, I made sure every kid took their horn. And at the end of the day, all the instruments were out. All the kids had their horns. They had their horns. They had their Chromebooks, and they were ready. They were ready to go. And as I'm sitting there the whole time, I'm thinking, now what am I going to do? They've got the stuff. Now what? And so, and it was a struggle. What am I going to do with the kids to keep them growing musically? What am I going to do with the kids to keep them engaged? What am I going to do with the kids to keep them enrolled in the class? And so it was really about what. Now that we've gotten a little further along, we need to start thinking about where, when, and how to use the technology. Where within our curriculum can we insert the use of technology where it fits naturally? When do we use it? How do we use it that makes sense of everything, so that we can move forward with all this? Now, with that being said, let the curriculum be the focus, not the technology. Do not change what you're doing based on the technology. Find ways to take the technology and insert it in the curriculum in a natural area that makes sense. Okay, you're still going to play, you're still going to sing, you're still going to do all the normal stuff that you would do in class. But where along the way will the technology, will some of these things that we've been using naturally fit, that makes sense, that works for you and your students. So let the curriculum continue to be the focus and find those ways to insert that technology to where it best fits you and your students. When it comes to adding technology to some of these things, here are some questions that you can ask yourself. What is something that you're doing in person that can be accomplished through technology? What is a task that you're already doing that you can take away from you and turn and let technology take over and do it? What tool can you use to accomplish that task? And then the most important one, how can I use technology to help my students to grow musically? And then so as you're looking for as you're looking for the when, where, and how, be sure to ask these questions so that there's a natural flow to the class, and it seems like it's natural when you start implementing technology to it. And so you don't, once again, let the curriculum, don't change what you're doing to match technology. Have the technology fit where you want it to be. And the goal is to find that balance between technology and the traditional ways of doing music ensembles. Band, orchestra, and choir have a long tradition of how things are run, how the program is structured, how the program is done. We've got rehearsals, we've got concerts, we've got assessments, and there's that tradition there. The trick is to find that balance. You don't want technology to take over and take things out of balance. You want to find a great way to where there's a balance between technology and tradition there. This is the problem that we're facing with all of this. We teach how we were taught. I was very fortunate to come up with some excellent band, in an excellent band program with some excellent band directors. They were masters at their craft. They didn't use technology. And the reason they didn't use technology is because they didn't have it. They didn't have it. In my high school band room, and I graduated high school in 1984, so I'm ancient. I'm old and seasoned. In my high school band room, our technology was a strobe tuner, a cassette and record player, and an out-of-tune upright piano. And the reason that's all we had was that was all there was. There weren't the resources that we have now. And I would like to think that my band directors would embrace some of the things that are available today, because they would do anything they could to get us to achieve at a high level. And so we are a few years away before we have people entering the profession who went through a program that used technology at all. And so I know that whenever I was teaching my students, I was always thinking in the back of my mind, what would my band director think in this situation? What would my band director think about what we just did? What would my band director do to make this better? And so just because we haven't done it and we haven't been exposed to it, and doesn't mean that it won't work, and it can't work. So please keep that in your mind as well. And I always put this caveat in all of my presentations. Technology for me is and has and will always be a means of enhancement, not replacement. I am not trying to pull instruments out of kids' hands and replace them with technology. When you learn to play a musical instrument or sing, there are no shortcuts. The only way to learn to play a trumpet is to put that trumpet on your face. The Chromebook will not teach you to play the trumpet. But you can find ways that would enhance the experience of the student, that might motivate the student to do a little bit more, to take that extra next step. And so I do not want anyone to think that I'm here trying to replace things. Um, take home. It's not. It's about finding ways to use technology to get our students to perform and grow musically. Horns on Faces is always greater than technology. All right, technology. I just like to put those in there because my boy Chris Farley's the man, and those are nice memes. All right, on with the show. What we're going to kind of look at today during the rest of this presentation is we're going to look at some Google's tips and tricks. We're going to look at some add-ons and extensions that you might want to use, and then we're going to look at some music-specific apps and programs. And once again, a lot of the things in here already have links built in. So get you a copy of this presentation from the URLs and QR codes at the beginning, and you will be able to just click on the link and go. First of all, just a few tips and tricks about the Google world. Now, if you're using a different LMS other than Google Classroom, if you're using Blackboard or Schoology or any other LMS, a lot of these same tips and tricks will work for you there as well. Okay, but I've come up in a Google environment, and so that's why a lot of the things that I say on here are based on Google. But Google Classroom is your home away from home. And so as you put things in Google Classroom, I just say, number one, be consistent. As you put assignments or lessons or outlines or information in Google, be consistent with how you enter it in there, because you don't want the kids logging into your LMS and seeing things different each day. It's just going to add to confusion. And so as you put things in there, be very consistent with how you do it. In Google Classroom, take advantage of the topics. Okay, topics are like little indices that you click on, and it will take you straight to that area. And the topics can be Christmas concert, fall concerts, solos and ensembles can be a topic. You can have a topic that says jazz band. You can have a topic that is the week. Whenever I did my topics in my Google Classroom, I really did mine by the week. And so I would put the topic in there, week of November 1st through 5th. And that way, if a kid was absent for some reason and would come up and go, hey, what did we do in class? I could say, go to the Google Classroom underneath the week that you were absent, and you will see everything that's in there for that week. And so you're going to find topics very helpful because it's easy to navigate. It appears on the left hand side, like I say, like an index, and then you just click on it, and everything under that topic related to that topic is there. And so it's a great way to keep things organized and to help your students be organized and be able to find things quickly. I am a big fan of the 3-number labeling system, 001 and then the title. And the reason is, like in Google Drive, for example, everything appears alphabetically. And so if I'm teaching a class called Symphonic Band, and I've got all these Google things in my Google Drive, S is going to be way at the bottom, and I've got to scroll down. But Symphonic Band is something that I need every day. So if I put 001 Symphonic Band, when I open up Google Drive, it's the first thing that appears in that Google Drive. So you can do 001 Symphonic Band, 002 Wind Ensemble, 003 8th Grade Band, and those will appear at the top. Well, the same thing goes for when you come to labeling your topics and your other assignments in Google Classroom. By putting the 3-digit number system before the title of the specific topic, it's another way of really organizing it. So as you look at your Google Drive and you look at your Google Classroom, really think about adding those 3 digits at the beginning. 001 space and then the title, and you're going to see that that will help your organizing and for you and your students. The biggest mistake that most educators make is making a copy of something for each student. When you put something in Google Classroom, a Google document, a musical example, something, and the students click on it, it's theirs. They have a chance to do with as they see fit. If you don't click make a copy for each student, then everybody's in there, and somebody could write the greatest answer ever, then somebody else could come in and erase it, and the document can disappear. So if you click make a copy for each student, then each individual person gets their very own copy that only they can manipulate. And so the biggest error that I made, whenever problems would arise, it was because I forgot to click that make a copy for each student button as I was putting things in Google Classroom. So that's the biggest, just remember that one, make a copy for each student, and a lot of your problems might go away after that. And then finally over here, less is more. When I first started putting everything in Google Classroom, they were perfect. They were detailed. Every little instruction that I knew the kids needed, I put in Google Classroom. I tried to anticipate every question, every concern that they may have, and I put it all in Google Classroom, and it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. Then I realized nobody was reading all of that. And so less is more. Be consistent with it. Use your topics, label it the right way, but just get to the point. They're not reading all of that. And so all of this huge list of things that I was putting in Google Classroom was really a waste of my time because it wasn't getting read anyway. Put what you need to in there and move on. All right, they're not reading it anyway. Now you're going to have your wonderful students that read everything that you ever put in there, but for the most part they're not. So just less is more. Get to the point and move on. Now YouTube, a couple things about YouTube. It's on there. Everything is on there. I haven't been able to find something that's not on there. And even music publishers these days, they're not sending out the CDs anymore. They're not sending out the MP3s anymore. Everything is a link to a YouTube video. And so if you're looking for a song that you're going to do with your ensemble, 99.9% sure you're going to find it on YouTube. So create playlists for your students. If you've got a concert coming up, find videos of all of the songs and put them up there so that the kids have something, they can listen to the tune, and they can hear an ensemble play it the right way. All right, so you got all of these things on there. So create playlists for your students and share them out. Let your students create playlists and send them to you. Maybe they've heard a piece on YouTube that they want to do in class. Have them send you the video. If you've got enough kids requesting to do the same thing, man, you might do benefit you to try to find that tune and play it. All right, so create playlists for you. Have your students create playlists. Now, you can download YouTube videos really easily. Let me see if I can get out of here and find one. Now, I'm sure there is a lot to be said about copyright at this point, so please use that caveat. Be careful when it comes to copyright. Don't break the copyright laws. But if you need, for some reason, to download a YouTube video, and here's the Marine Band with Granger's Children's March. If you click in the URL and you take away the E, the B, and the U, so that you have ute.com, and then you click on that, it's going to take you to this where you can pick out how you want to download it, and there you go. You can download a copy of that as an MP3 or however you want it to be. So you can download YouTube videos that way. Now, if I'm here on this Marine Band Sometimes I will pull up YouTube videos and you get all these ads. You're inundated with all the stuff on the right hand side over here, but also sometimes ads pop up. And I don't know, it scares me sometimes what ads do pop up. I really don't want seventh grade band to be sponsored by Smirnoff Vodka today. And so as I pull up a video, um, you got to be careful about what ads, because it's going to lead to other conversations that don't need to take place in your class. But if you will put a dash between the T and the U in YouTube, let's go back here to Children's March. So I come back up to the URL and I put a dash right in there, and then I hit enter. I now get that video in full screen, no ads. And so you can even send out, you can put that in there, copy the link and send it out. And when the students open it up, it'll appear full screen, no ads as well. And so that is something that once I found that little tip and trick, I used it all the time, just because you just don't know what ads are going to pop up. And even though you're in a school and you're in an educational environment, it's a free-for-all for ads sometimes. So put that dash between the T and the U, and then you end up getting full screen, no ads, nothing on the right-hand side. It's just video. And you can always share that video out, and they've got it. So those are the tips for YouTube. Real quick, Google Sheets. Couple things that you can do that I really like. Split columns and check boxes. Too many times you have students' names where it's the last name, comma, first name. Well, when you go to sort, for me, I need a column with last names and a column with first names, because it sure does make sorting a lot easier. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select those, and then I come over to data, split text into columns. And now I've got the last name in the first column, the first name in the second column. And you can do that different ways. This detected it automatically. It just knew that after that, that's how we were going to split it. But you could do it by comma, semicolon, period, or space. I know my school uses Infinite Campus. And so whenever I print out rosters in Infinite Campus, it's listing last name, comma, first name. And I could copy and paste in there, but then I would have to go split it. Well, they've done that for you. Once again, it's data, split text into columns. Now, the fact that I've already split that is not highlighted. Another one that I really love are check boxes. So if I come over here and I put insert, and then checkbox, I now have a checkbox next to their name. And you can, as the students are getting everything set up from classes getting set up, you can be walking around and you can go, hey, Bob Smith has your horn today. Gustav Holst, hey, great, you got all your stuff today. Percy Granger, you forgot your stuff again. John Souza, good. Luke Skywalker, forgot your stuff. And you can go around and you can use those check boxes. And it's just a good way to have that copy. And you can have this on your Chromebook, on your device. And as you're walking around and the students are doing their thing, you can kind of real quick just take quick notes of it. So once again, splitting columns is under data, split text into columns, and then the check boxes are under insert, and then you can do the check boxes right there, and then you've got those. Those are just some things that in the Google Sheets that I really like. Now let's look at some non-music specific tools. These are all links. That is a link to Flipgrid, that is a link to Screencastify, and that is a link to Moat. You can click on those and it will take you to their site. Flipgrid is a video-based program that allows the students to record videos of themselves. It integrates with all the LMSs. It works great with Google Classroom. It imports my students. I can send the link out. The students just click on the link and go. It can be accessed on any device. Their cell phones, the Chromebooks, other devices, they can do that, and they can send you a video recording. And I've been using Flipgrid for probably the last 5 years for playing test, because when I do playing test, I want to see the student. I don't want to just hear what they're doing. I want to see them. I want to see their hand position. I want to see their posture. I want to see their embouchure. I want to see how, I want to see those things, because there could be an issue with the embouchure that's making the tone quality uh, not be where it is. Same thing with hand position. And so I love video more than audio. And so Flipgrid lets me do that. I tell the kids when they record their Flipgrids to position the camera to where I can see their horn, their hands, and their face. And then I ask them just to play as artistically as possible. And it's been an absolute godsend. Everything, all the videos are stored on Flipgrid's servers. And as I can listen to them and provide feedback, you can create rubrics to go along with it so that you can provide scoring if you need to that way. It is just a wonderful tool. And the really cool thing is it is free. You can get into Flipgrid for free, use it, and the kids like it because at the very end they can add stickers and different things and decorate their video to meet their personality, and they have a good time with it. And it's really helped me because in my classes I've been very blessed to have large ensembles, but I'm also the only band director. And so a few years back, when I started using Flipgrid, I was losing so much rehearsal time going around the room listening to each kid do their playing test, no matter how long the playing test was. It could have been a very short playing test. With 80 to 89 kids in a room by myself, by the time I heard every kid complete their playing test, that was a week. It was a week of rehearsal time that I lost. And so I can now assign playing tests, have class. Then as they come in, I can listen to them on my time whenever I have time to listen to them and send back feedback that way. So it has been a blessing. I also give my kids as many chances as they can to do the playing test, because I want the kids to get it. I want them to get it at a high level. For me, it's not about getting it right now. It's about getting it. And it takes some kids longer than others to, quote, get it. And so by doing the videos and giving them a week or 2 weeks to complete their Flipgrid, those students who need that extra time have it. And those students who are excelling, we usually get them done and turned in fairly quickly, which is fine. So Flipgrid, video-based program that allows you to use that to assess the kids. You can also use it for concert reflections. You know, after a concert, you can put a question in Flipgrid and say, tell me something that you did great on the concert, and the kids can verbally speak to you through the camera. And so it's a wonderful tool that I know will benefit you in your class. Screencastify is an extension for Google Chrome that you can download and use. Once again, it's a video screen recorder. As a matter of fact, I'm using Screencastify right now to make this video. It allows me to have my screen being recorded with my picture down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's just another option for assessments. Now, all of my students have all of these apps already, that extension added. All other teachers throughout the school use Screencastify for if students need to do presentations. You can record just your screen without the video webcam. You can do just the webcam. You can do both like I'm doing now. Some teachers will have the students put the music up on the screen with their webcam off to the side. That way you can see the music and watch the student perform it at the same time. Once again, it's an extension. It's free to use, and it's just another option for students to turn in assignments. One of the newer things that has come out is Moat, and Moat allows you to leave verbal feedback. instead of typing in feedback. I'm not a good typer at all. I blew that class off, and I wish I hadn't. As I look back of all the classes that I wish I'd have tried more in, typing class was it. I wish I had tried more in typing class. But what Moat does, let me pull up a doc here. Here is my OMEA doc. If I want to leave a comment, I would just highlight that and then come over here to comments. And then if I click Moat, the Moat logo, I can then speak the feedback into the document, and the students would have a link to an MP3 listed there, and they could then hear me speak to them instead of reading the typing. You know, if I was to type in, "Hey, good job," that's one thing, but for the students to hear you say, "Hey, man, that was a good job on that one," and they hear your excitement of the voice, it adds to, I think, better feedback. And so you just do that. But once you get the extension, and in the presentation here, that's a link that will take you to where you can add that extension, and it'll take you right there. Same thing with all of these here; they're links. It's just, Moat is just, for me, has been a time saver because it's easier for me to speak feedback than it is to type it. You can also get a written transcript of your feedback. So if your administrators need for you to provide proof and evidence of things, you can do that through Moat as well by downloading the transcript of it. Now, like I said, all of these things are free. There are paid versions of Moat and Screencastify, but the free versions will do everything that you need for them to do in through here. Let me get rid of some of these tabs up here real quick. Now, let's look at a couple of music specific tools that you can use quickly and efficiently. I don't know how I would have made it through the pandemic without Noteflight. Noteflight is an online music notation program that is so easy for students to learn. It is publisher quality notation program, and there is an educational version of it called Noteflight Learn, and so it is a subscription based, but it is so affordable. I use a little bit of my fundraising money every year and buy all of my students subscriptions to Noteflight, and it has really helped with not just the pandemic. I was using it before the pandemic, but it's just a great tool, and my kids really like creating their own music, and that's what they can do in Noteflight. Now, in Noteflight, when you hit the create, it is so easy to use. I mean, everything's laid out for you. You pick what kind of staff that you want to use, and they've got all these templates already built in, all the way down to barbershop quartet and handbells. But once you get it in there and you open up, say we just open up a blank staff here, you've got all these tools up here. Now, it looks confusing, but it's really not. If you want to put a half note, you just click on the half note up here and you go, and you just start entering them in. And as you, oh, I wanted a half note, boom. And so your students, I always do a teach the tech lesson whenever I'm introducing anything to the students. Spend some time where I'm trying to teach the tech. And for Noteflight, I just had the students come in and play and go through all the different toolbars that are up here and just play. Now, what you can do in Noteflight is you can turn a lot of those off. Like right now, they're all check marked, and so they're on there. But if I just go ahead and uncheck a bunch of these because I know that the students aren't going to need them or whatever, I can go through there and all of a sudden they just disappear and the upper area doesn't get as complicated. But it is a full-blown program. You can edit everything. They already have, you can see here, title and subtitle and composer, and all these things are already built in, including copyright at the bottom. And so the students can do it. And if you'll notice up here at the top, it integrates with Google Classroom. So if you can create an assignment, create a sheet, and send it out through Google Classroom, and you've got it. For example, a couple years ago, we were working on Kurno's Korean Folk Rhapsody, and I wanted everyone to play the melody. And my low brass, especially my tuba players, were getting really bored with playing dotted half notes. And so I sat down before class and I typed out the melody and sent it out, and we were able to play the melody together. We could work on balance and blend and phrasing. And my tuba players weren't sitting there just bored playing dotted half notes. They also had the melody. And I did that. I typed it in a couple minutes before class and sent it out through Google Classroom. And the students had access to that. But it is a wonderful program. Let me go to the libraries real quick. It comes with some built-in content that you can use. The Noteflight Learn library has, let's let it open up here. You can come over here. It's got sight reading exercises, scale, theory, melody, chorale, composition exercises. You can search by keys. So if I was to go up here to scale exercises, all right, and I've got all of these different scale exercises in here that they can do. I can come over here, get rid of that, and I can come here to theory exercises. And I've got all these different theory things built. For example, theory 1, here we go, talks about scale construction with whole steps and half steps. And so it's got the model up here at the top, then the kids will finish out writing the scales using whole steps and half steps. I create an editable copy, that way the original's not messed up. Let me do that real quick. I can then send it out through Google Classroom. And the students will have their very own copy. When it goes through Google Classroom, they have their very own copy, and they can then complete that. And when they hit the save button, I have a copy of their work. And so it is just really, really intuitive when it comes to work. Now back to the libraries again. Content libraries. This is the pop, band, choir, orchestra, guitar, and piano library from Hal Leonard. And this is all of their stuff that they've put, and they're constantly putting new things in there every day. But this is all of Hal Leonard's music, and it's coming in as Noteflight files. So here's Saucedo, Everything for a Dream, Samuel Hazo, A Zillion Nickels. It's all in here, and you can sort by grade level, key, different type of ensemble, and it will take you right there. And then, for example, if we do Risk Everything for a Dream, just let it load up here real quick. Here is Richard Saucedo's Risk Everything for a Dream. There is a reference recording that you can click here that will play that, and that is a professional ensemble playing the piece of music. You can make an editable copy of this. And when you create an editable copy, you are getting a Noteflight document. And so when you are, you can now edit this to kind of fit your ensemble. If your flutes are struggling a little bit, you can select these measures. And let me get these measures selected here. And let's say Control C, copy. I can then come down here to my trumpets and I can Control V, paste, adjust. Okay, I can adjust the range by hitting Control down arrow. And now maybe I have a superstar trumpet. Now that trumpet player has the solo at the beginning. And so you have a no flight file. It is editable, and you can go through and adjust it a little bit as you go through. Now you can't print, and that comes down to copyright. And if you could just print off this, Hal Leonard would go out of business. But the trick is you can put these things up digitally and rework them and play them from your screens if you need to. But it's a no flight file. You can edit it. You can move things around in octaves. You can redo a few things that way. The goal of this is that you have this piece already in your library, but now you have a digital copy that you can send out for your students. And you can do that in the libraries with anything that's inside of these libraries. And like I say, these are this is all of Hal Leonard's music, and they're constantly adding new pieces as you go in. My kids lived in the pop library. I had them go to the pop library, find a song that they liked, and learn to play it on their instrument. And you haven't heard anything until you've heard Taylor Swift on the tuba. It's worth it. Now, all of these libraries, it's like you're purchasing all 6 for the price of 1. There is a little extra cost on top, but I think it's just like $2 or $3. Yeah, content libraries are $3 per person, and all the kids can have that. And then also, just this past year, they've added the Essential Elements Book 1, 2, and 3 for band and strings, and you have all of these access to all of these books that are in there. And then so you can come in and go down here to Rolling Along. Once again, you would create an editable copy, but now you have Rolling Along, and the kids can go through and you can send it out digitally for playing test. Now, speaking of playing test, let me go back here to my scores. My scores is everything that I've created that's in there. And so I've already got some things created in here. So for example, if I want to do sight reading number 1, let's do down here. Here is sight reading number 1, and this is from the content library. This is already created by Noteflight. I can send this piece out and say, all right, I want you to do a playing test over this. I can also create what is called a sound check file. Midwest sight reading number 1 sound check. I'll come back and look at the logos here in a second. Now I've created a sound check file of this. What sound check does is it provides feedback for the kids based on their performance. And so the students have this file, and I could say, for this week, I want you to do the first 4 measures. They can come up here, mark section, drag it over, and then now they would be assessed on these. What is really great that they've also added is a video feature. So if I hit video, now the student is up here. They have a video recording of them playing it, as well as the audio recording down here. And then they would play, they would hit the record and play, and then there would be feedback given to them based on what they did. And it would say stuff like rhythm being played too fast, out of tune on this note, wrong note here. And so it's giving the students immediate feedback on what they play. And so the sound check feature is really easy to use. And for me, when we went virtual and I was looking for what am I going to do? being able to do the sound check was great because I could send out, for example, here is Dragon Fire by Paul Lavender. I could send this piece out for my beginners, and I could break it down. And like, for example, the students would come up here to parts, and they could hit parts, and they could select their instrument, and now just their instrument is up there. And then I could say, all right, this week I want you to do measure 1 through 9, and they could come and select it. And this week they're going to play just this and have assessment on it. And then next week I could say, all right, I want you to do 9 through 17. And so they would drag them down here and they would just do 9 through 17. And then when we went back to in person and I was to pass out Dragon Fire to my students, they had already worked on it and we had already talked about it, and they had a few assessments going on, and it went together really, really easily. And so the students would get the whole score as a sound check file, but then they would just select parts and they would select the part that they were playing. And it is so easy to learn. I would sit down, and when I first started using this, as well as other features of Noteflight, I dedicated 2 whole class periods to just going through Noteflight and teaching them Noteflight. And what I realized is within the first 10 or 15 minutes of the first day, they had already figured a lot of things out. I would send out assignments to the kids, and I would say, okay, make it look like your part. Enter in this. Get in your band book and take number 17 and enter it in and make it look like it does in the band book on your Noteflight. And with 10 or 15 minutes, they got it. Sometimes we take for granted. We think our kids don't know how to navigate things, and they're a little bit, sometimes a whole lot more tech savvy than we are. But Noteflight is a tool that I don't know if I could teach without these days. And now that it's got the sound check feature, and then they added that video in it, it's kind of taking a bunch of the tools that I use separately and kind of putting them together in one area, and it's just a wonderful tool. I know I've got a QR code coming up here at the end that I think you can look at, that I think you can get a demo of Noteflight, and it's really worth spending some time and looking at. But Noteflight is a tool that I know that I couldn't live without in the classroom today. Another music-specific tool is BandLab. BandLab is a digital audio workstation, very similar to a program called Soundtrap. And I use Soundtrap for a number of years, and I still use Soundtrap some, but I'm moving things over to BandLab now because BandLab is free. And it is a tool that the kids can get a subscription to. And here's like the main page. It doesn't have an educational version yet to where all the stuff that other educational versions like Noteflight Learn is the educational version of Noteflight, and Soundtrap has an educational version that just deals with that. This is an open version. So you do have news feed with different things coming up, but to create, it's just as easy as anything else. Once you hit create, I'm going to go ahead and click off this. It's giving you some options that you can do here. BandLab sounds. Students can import their own playing, so they can record an MP3 of them playing a song and import it, and then add other things to it. But like BandLab sounds, you've got they've taken these different sounds and categorized them into different things. So you can come down here to classic hip hop. And let's see, and then you just drag it and put it in there. Don't for right now. And then so you don't have it's not as funky as I thought it would be. It just recorded me talking that. So the kids can record into BandLab, They can import a recording of them. They can layer all of these different beats on each other. And I'm going to tell you, you haven't heard anything until you've heard Lightly Row with a dubstep hip hop beat behind it. And so, I use programs like BandLab or Soundtrap as what I call an enhancer. Um, all of the method books that you get come with those CDs that have the backing tracks. Well, now students can create backing tracks that are more interesting to them. They can create backing tracks that are more fun to them. And what we're doing is we're tricking them into playing. They're doing everything they can to make these backing tracks sound cool. And so they will create the backing tracks, then they'll play along with it, and then they'll adjust the backing tracks and they'll play some more. And what we've ended up doing is having horns on faces. And you can also use this to talk a little bit about theory, because you can adjust the key signature, because you saw that screen pop up at the beginning where you can adjust the key, because sometimes the students will play something in the key of B flat, but yet all of their tracks are in this C sharp. And then you can talk about how to adjust those, and you can talk a little bit about key relation. You can adjust the tempo, you can adjust the time signature. And so it opens up some doors to talk about other aspects that you might not get. And plus, it's a lot of fun. Some kids have been very creative with some of their beats that they're able to do in that. But it is a wonderful tool. It's Band Lab, and I think that's a link right there that you can link yourself, go to it, play around with it, check it out, and have your kids go ahead and subscribe. Now, once again, it's free. You got to sign up for it, but it is a free program. Oh, I clicked on BandLab there. Let's see. Here we go. Ideas and tools. We're going to finish up here now. Every time I do these presentations, someone's always saying, well, now, what are some things that I can do? And so I decided to make just a couple of slides where I sat down one night and just brainstormed some things that you can do with your students. A lot of things you may be doing already. You just never kind of maybe thought about it that way. And so I just thought of some ideas and the tools that would make it work. For example, playing assessments. Note, flight, learn, sound check, flip grid, and screencastify. You can send out a playing assessment, let the kids have it, and let them do it on their time. Listening assessments. You can have the students listen to YouTube recordings, to some Note, flight, learn recordings from the libraries, and then they could either write their thoughts, or they can just Flipgrid and talk about their thoughts. Research projects. One of the projects that I did with my students, I had them research the history of their instrument. And so they were able to put together Google Slides. Some kids even used, Google created a band website for their instrument or one of their favorite artists. Performance reflections. After you get done, talk about the performance. Some kids are shy and don't want to talk about it in front of the whole class. Put up a flip grid. Let the kids respond that way. Program notes, programs, backing tracks like we just talked about with Band Lab. And you can even use Note, Flight, Learn to do those things. Composition projects. I would use Note, Flight with my students and have them write their own playing test. Have them think of all the notes and rhythms that we've learned so far. Have my beginners, they would write a 16 measure melody. I would have my older kids maybe write a 32 bar melody, but have them write their own playing test. You can still tell if they're learning and if learning is taking place by using theirs instead of just yours. And plus, it gives the students a little bit more ownership. Judges tapes. When you go to assessment, and I would always play the tapes for my students. This is what they thought of us. Have the kids create their own judges tape. Give them a copy of the score sheet and have the kids listen to their recording and act like a judge. Talk about what they hear. Talk about what they think is going on. Living room concerts. Have them play for their parents. Have the parents send you back feedback. They're going to love it. But that's not the point. The point is getting the kids playing more. Peer reviews, student-created assessments. Have the students pick things out of the band book. Have them look at the first section of the band book and have them pick out 10 questions that would be good for test. Rhythm sheets, note name sheets, Note Flight Learn. You have to have those built in, and you can just send those out, and the students can create those or finish those that way. One of the things that I wish I'd have thought of a lot sooner, and I feel as I look back at my time during the pandemic when we're shut down, is lessons with the masters. We no longer have to get these great superstars to come to our schools in person. Um, you can set up you can get Gene Picorni of the Chicago Symphony to give your tuba section or your brass section a clinic through Google Meet. And then you could get all of these great artists to do these things through Google Meet, and they would love to do that. They would love to do them. A lot of times we look at these masters and we go, oh, they don't want. No, they love doing things like that. And so you could set things like that up with Google Meet, and you could say, all right, on Monday, Low Brass, we're going to do a Google Meet with Gene Picorni at the Chicago Symphony. And the low brass would sit and they would go through a clinic session with him talking about their instrument. Attendance, we talked about at the beginning with QR codes and Google Forms for just gathering basic information, rehearsal outlines, Google Slides, Google Sites, Adobe Spark. I would always put a Google slide up on the board as the kids walked in. They could see the outline for the day on that. Real quick, professional development. One of my goals is to help provide relevant PD for teachers of the arts. There are too many times that we have PD that is done to us, not for us. One PD session that I can think of that I can't get it out of my mind is one morning. In the morning we did math standards, and in the afternoon we did reading standards. As a band director, I just could not. It was a long day. And so what I'm really wanting to do is to come up with professional development that is relevant for us. That is what we need. It can be music technology. It could be using Google tools or coming up with other tools to use in our curriculum. And so if you would like to set up a PD session with other teachers in your district or other teachers in your area, and you want to come up with a PD session that's for you, have your people reach out. Whoever's in charge of PD at your district, have them reach out. And I know we can set something up that would be relevant for you, that would be more beneficial to you than some of the things that we have that are out there. And so please, do not hesitate to reach out and we can make something like that happen. This is a QR code for Hal Leonard. Hal Leonard, if you scan that, it'll take you to a website, and they've got some resources and other things on there that you can take advantage of. I know you can get a demo version of Note Flight. I think you can get it for 30 to 60 days to where you can mess around with it and figure out how you could use it with your kids. There are resources there. Please scan that and use that as you need. That would be best beneficial to you. And then here on this last slide is my contact information: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. There's not much on the YouTube page right now. That's why I don't think I have a link there yet that would work. Go away. My email address is here. I just clicked that again. I didn't mean to. Sorry. Man, I'm struggling here at the end. And then, of course, the glory that is TikTok is coming soon. And so as these things become more live, I will add the links to that so you can have that. This is my Twitter, at Stephen Keys with the underscore at the end of it. Connect. Let's share some ideas and thoughts as we move forward through all this stuff. I know it sounds hokey sometimes, but we are better together. And so the more things that we can come up with and the more things that we can share with each other, the better experience our students are going to have. And that's the ultimate goal. What can we do to get our students to grow musically? And so hopefully I've shown you some ways that you can use technology along the journey through that. And thanks. Thanks for watching the video. I hope it's been helpful. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me for anything. I love doing it. I love talking shop with my fellow music teachers. And thanks to the OMEA for letting me do this video. Bye.